This shifting constellation represents the narrative structure of the Mahabharata. It's a multi-protagonist cosmology governed by dharma and karma, where no single character stands alone. Within this epic framework, the suffering of a warrior like Karna functions as one illustrative thread woven into a massive tapestry of cosmic justice. Watch what happens as this constellation collapses into a single tight geometric loop. This is the structure of classical Attic tragedy. It demands a single organizing consciousness and a strictly linear chain of cause and effect. The architect of this closed tragic loop is the Greek playwright Sophocles, who perfected the form in Oedipus the King. In 1946, Indian playwright T.P. Kailasam wrote the 5-act English play The Curse or Karna. He gave it a specific subtitle, An Impression of Sophocles. Translating epic material into classical tragedy is not a creative retelling alone. It requires re-engineering the rules of causality that govern the character's life. We can evaluate this blueprint using Aristotle's requirements for a tragic hero. He argued a tragic protagonist must be a character of high standing, whose downfall is caused by a specific error of judgment, not external villainy. Mapping a Greek cosmological structure governed by absolute impersonal fate onto an Indian epic governed by personal dharma and karma presents a structural conflict. A writer cannot simply drop Greek machinery, like oracles or Mount Olympus, into an Indian setting. Doing so breaks the internal logic of the myth. Kailasam solves this by locating structural equivalents already latent within the Indian material. He replaces Greek cosmic boundaries with the rigid social boundaries of ancient India. This re-engineering changes the kind of story Karna's life tells. He shifts from a didactic tool into a fully autonomous, highly vulnerable tragic hero. To trace Kailasam's logic, we will build a comparative matrix. The first Greek variable is fate, or Moira. In Sophocles, this is delivered via an impersonal prophecy before the play begins. Kailasam's Indian equivalent for fate is the curse, or shaapa. The play stacks these curses to build inescapable pressure. Kunti's original abandonment of Karna serves as a primal wound, which is then compounded by his guru Parashurama's curse of forgetfulness. There is a functional difference here. Unlike a Greek oracle, an Indian curse is often the direct, traceable consequence of specific human actions. By utilizing the curse, Kailasam blurs the line between inherited fate and moral consequence. Karna finds himself in a double bind. He is simultaneously the author of his choices and the victim of his punishment. The next structural requirement is hamartia. Aristotle defines this strictly as an act of will, a misjudgment in an otherwise noble character. It is an error, not an act of malice. Oedipus's hamartia is his relentless pursuit of truth, ignoring warnings to stop. Karna's primary hamartia is his deliberate deception of his guru to gain bard martial education. Kailasam compounds this with a second error, Karna's absolute, unwavering loyalty to Duryodhana, the man who gave him a crown. Both of these errors stem from a legitimate, deeply sympathetic desire. Karna hungers for recognition based on his merit rather than his birth. Kailasam adopts the Sophoclean shape. Karna's best qualities, his drive for excellence and his fierce loyalty, become the specific mechanisms that drag him into an unjust war and his eventual ruin. In Greek tragedy, this ruin is often triggered by hubris, excessive pride that defiantly oversteps a cosmic boundary set by the gods. Kailasam makes a radical adaptation. Look at how this diagram conceptualizes boundaries. He relocates the ceiling from the heavens down to the social reality of India. Karna's hubris is his refusal to accept the diminished identity of a Sutaputra assigned by society. The Indian social order acts exactly like the Greek gods. It punishes his transgression through public exclusion, denial of education, and humiliation. His refusal is not vanity. It is a demand for justice against an inherently unjust hierarchy. In Kailasam's universe, the caste system functions with the exact same inescapable, crushing gravity as Greek cosmic law. The climax of this architecture relies on Anagnorisis, the moment of recognition where the hero moves from ignorance to knowledge regarding their true identity. The timing dictates the emotional weight. Oedipus discovers a horror already committed, patricide. Karna discovers a horror yet to come, the necessity of fighting his newly revealed brothers. When Kunti finally reveals his royal birth, the knowledge arrives too late to free him. It only serves to bind his sword and paralyze his loyalties at the worst possible moment. This realization triggers the peripeteia, the catastrophic reversal of fortune. Karna rises from an abandoned outcast to a feared, celebrated king. That peak of glory is systematically dismantled by the compounding weight of his past choices and layered curses. The result is catharsis. The audience experiences the purging of pity and fear, watching a character destroyed by forces they cannot control. This is peripeteia in its purest form. The highest point of the hero's ascent contains the exact blueprints for his collapse. As the Greek column fades away, we look at the adaptation strategy. Kailasam isn't attempting to mimic European forms for legitimacy. Post-colonial theory calls this strategic hybridity. Kailasam uses the prestigious, universally recognized architecture of Greek tragedy to prove that an oppressed Indian figure demands serious, rigorous regard. We can examine this through the lens of subaltern studies. Theorists like Gayatri Spivak interrogate how marginalized voices are structurally silenced, denied the authority to speak their own truth. This aligns directly with Ambedkarite and Dalit studies readings of the epic, which view Karna's treatment as a clear, devastating indictment of birth-based hierarchy. Kailasam's play presents a specific theoretical ambiguity. By giving Karna an Aristotelian hamartia, a personal flaw, does the text imply that his suffering is his own fault? The Aristotelian form creates a highly productive tension. It risks individualizing a failure that is actually a massive, systemic structural wrong. Karna's core grievance is that his ability is treated as illegitimate, entirely because of his birth. It is a debate over merit versus birthright that dominates contemporary public life. Modern political philosophers like Axel Honneth and Charles Taylor define this central struggle as the demand for recognition and equal social dignity. Yet Kailasam ensures Karna is not a pure innocent martyr. His participation in the public humiliation of Draupadi demonstrates how systemic exclusion can curdle a decent man into an agent of cruelty. This ethical ambivalence makes Karna a complex tragic hero, moving the audience past simple pity. Kailasam transforms a mythological instrument of dharma into a modern subject demanding justice. The play endures because it demonstrates a brutal reality. A subaltern figure's greatness and their destruction remain inextricably bound together by a society that refuses to see them.